Got it. All right. Welcome, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It all depends on where you're hailing from. My name is Stephanie Austin. I am the Executive Director of Global Chamber Dallas Fort Worth. I am so glad to have everyone here today who are actually on the Globinar with us to Zoom, and for those who will be joining and seeing later on, viewing later on. We're so excited to have two phenomenal people. I call them my power couple. I just love them dearly. And I started loving them dearly through Nicole, because Nicole is such a gem. And her husband, Felix Turner, they will be speaking today. And so I just want to share some things that Nicole's not aware that I was going to share about her today. But she is such an intelligent woman, brilliant, an exceptional author, an attorney, a great listener, teacher, collaborator, negotiator, and she's wise beyond her years. She's much younger than I am, but she's extremely wise. And so I just admire her often. I may say I stalk her from time to time on social media because and she has this pizzazz that goes up with her. She's just jazzy in all that she does and wear and look. And so I say all that to say she is a wonderful person and she is going to be our esteemed speaker today. And of course, her counterpart, I won't say her better half, I'd say they complement one another. And her husband, he's not short by no means whatsoever in regards to his stylish attire. I was like, look at them, they have it going on. And he is a phenomenal leader as well in his own right as an executive with Kroger's, and they both have the Turner Foundation. They are the co-founder for that. And today, what we're going to talk about, which is an issue at so many levels, but we're going to talk about food insecurity on college campuses. And Nicole Turner and Felix Turner are our speakers for the hour. They're going to share a little bit about what they do. I'll let them do a little bit more intro about their roles, and then what their organization does and how they give back and how we can help and also bring awareness to others. So without further ado, Nicole and Felix Turner, I have turned this over to you too.
But thank you so much, Stephanie. And thank you to the Dallas Fort Worth Global Chamber just for having us on today and just really allowing us the platform to be able to speak about something that is near and dear to both of our hearts, which is food insecurity. Not only food insecurity, but food insecurity among college students. And so when you asked, I know we're trying to get it scheduled, because my current position at work is just really crazy busy, but I'm so glad that we were able to get it worked out. And then I know you mentioned, hey, do you have someone else that we can bring on board? I said, I know the exact person that I can bring on board. And so it wasn't too much of a hard pull to get him on board. With this wonderful conversation. And so, just as an introduction, my name is Nicole Floyd Turner, and I know Stephanie Austin and I know Dana Austin, the dynamic duo sisters, because I am Deputy Director with the Atlanta Global Chamber. And I'm just really excited to be here. And we have a foundation called the Floyd Turner Foundation, and where we really have a couple of initiatives. I would say three. One of the initiatives is working with those rising seniors and providing them small college scholarships. And in addition, working with other organizations in the area of financial literacy. But the biggest one is really working with other organizations and partnering with those organizations to focus on food insecurity on college campuses. This was really born out of our establishment of an endowment working with our alma mater, which is Auburn University, and really trying to bring awareness to their campus food pantry, because at the time no one was really working with the food pantry or funding the food pantry. And so we just took it upon ourselves, because that's one of our foundation's initiatives, to really kick that off and to get it off the ground. And at this time, the whole university's kind of jumped in, and that campus food pantry is thriving. And so that is our primary focus here at the Floyd Turner Foundation. And so, and
Thank
to
you.
introduce my counterpart, Mr. Felix Turner.
Thank you, Nicole, and hello to everyone. And special shout out to a counterpart of mine, Shalia Harris. So Shalia we work together. She's actually based in Memphis, Tennessee, out of one of our operating divisions. We call it the Delta Division. So Shalia, thank you for joining. My name is Felix Turner. I am the regional head for corporate affairs, the South region. And my region spans from Texas. So we have two divisions in Texas, in Dallas and in Houston. We have a division, which I just call Delta, which covers Memphis, Arkansas, and Jackson, Mississippi area. We have a Nashville division, which basically covers all of Nashville and some stores in North Alabama. We have the Louisville division, which covers basically all of Kentucky, the Louisville area, and she also has some stores in a couple other states. The Atlanta division, which covers all of Alabama, as well as 3 stores in East Alabama, and all of the Kroger stores in South Carolina. And then the Mid-Atlantic division, which is Virginia, West Virginia area. And then I also work with our Harris Teeter banner, which is based out of Raleigh, North Carolina, and spans up into Washington, D.C. So definitely have the pleasure of working with those teams from a corporate affairs standpoint. In corporate affairs, we cover basically internal, external communications, government relations, and community. And the community piece is how kind of all of this ties in. And the reason that we're on the call today is food insecurity. The Kroger company has a huge initiative that we kicked off in 2017 called the Zero Hunger, Zero Waste Social Impact Initiative. And that's where we set out to end hunger and waste in all the areas that we basically live, work, and play in, where we serve the communities. One of our big goals was to donate over 3 billion meals by 2025. Happy to say we actually reached that goal at the end of last year. So we set a new goal that we're working toward now.
That is phenomenal.
But when I was sitting in the role that Shalia is in now in Atlanta, one of the things that really kind of became my passion was working with college students that were experiencing food insecurity. Really didn't realize it, and I guess I was very fortunate when I was at Auburn, and even when I was at a junior college, I personally didn't experience much food insecurity. But when we got into the Zero Hunger, Zero Waste piece, as well as the foundation, our foundation, and then started looking at a lot of the statistics, why it was a huge area that we felt like, Nicole and I, that we can make an impact through our foundation, as well as in my position that I hold with Kroger.
Wow. I tell you, God places people in places for a special reason, and just look how this just panned out and worked out for you, you and Nicole. So tell us a little bit about your foundation, that what you did and how it got started. I know you shared just a little bit and the impact, and we'll go from there.
So the foundation was founded during the pandemic. You know how when you're behind closed doors and you feel like you're not contributing anything to your immediate space, you start thinking about what you can do And during that time, shortly after, my father-in-law passed away. And so he was a big fan of education. And so he served as a minister of evangelism and outreach in his church. And so I thought about just really establishing the Floyd Turner Foundation to provide college scholarships to individuals and established a scholarship in his name. And I said, that's great. That's really cute, right? So let's expand it out. And so we started looking at ways on how we can give back to our university, Auburn. And we had met a couple of times with one of the giving officers there. He's since moved on to another role, about how can we really help Auburn. And I know, Felix and Kroger have tried to partner with them, to give gift cards, to give gift cards to help the students in the area of food insecurity. But we kept getting a lot of pushback. And so, you fast forward that a couple of years, and then one of the giving officers, called because one of the purposes of our foundation scholarship, that it was to go to underserved and underrepresented people. And so in particular counties that had high populations. And so that scholarship was discontinued. And so we kept ignoring our call and ignoring our call. And so we finally decided to meet with her, and she came up to Atlanta, and she says, I know, and we're from Georgia. I know y'all, that's not where you wanted your money to go. So where exactly can we work to get your dream of establishing scholarships? And so we went down to Auburn, and we met with a few individuals. And so we said, okay, food pantry. You all have a food pantry. And they said, yes. So what's being done with it? And so we started having a dialogue. And so in Felix's position at that time for the corporate affairs manager for Atlanta, he was really able and was really instrumental in getting the ball rolling on getting Kroger really involved with the food pantry. Because what we did not know at that time is that, because of some other things, and we'll get into that, is that the food pantry wasn't able to be funded by the food bank. And no other corporation food store had stepped up to help the campus food pantry. And so that was just really shocking to us. And so we were able to go tour the food pantry, and it was a desert. There wasn't anything on the
Wow.
shelf, really. It really didn't have any systems in place. And so that's when, the partnership just really started to come into the purview on what exactly the foundation could do, what exactly Kroger could do to help the idea of being able to bring the food pantry to fruition.
So quick question for you, Nicole, when you said when you looked at the food pantry, it was like a desert, right?
Yeah.
Um, is it because people don't know that they're able to, or some colleges don't have a food pantry for students? I know my children went to college, and my daughter, when I was mentioning to her about food, she's like, she wish she had known, because they didn't know. So they're always asking families to send care packages, can you send us something, is it the lack of food on these pantries on campus is because of the lack of information, lack of education, knowledge? What would you say? What was the driving force for it being so bare?
I think it's twofold. I think the main thing is lack of resources. And then the second thing is lack of knowledge, is lack of exposure, because the process and how they were, getting the word out on the food pantry was really just word of mouth. The food pantry wasn't an area on campus where it was kind of tucked away. And if you didn't know that it was there, then you didn't know that it was there. And so
Yeah.
it was really one about visibility. And
Mm.
and as alumni, we were just really excited and proud that this was an area that we can jump right into, especially alumni that have been from underserved and underrepresented communities. I mean, I, came to Auburn on a scholarship from a family endowment in my hometown. And even though I didn't experience um, a great amount of food insecurity because I did have a support system, but I knew individuals that did have some food insecurities. And so it was just really important to us to really start to add to those resources and to start highlighting the food pantry.
Absolutely.
And kind of in addition, just to tag on real quick, Stephanie, is that placement, especially on a college campus, placement is important
Yeah.
because unfortunately, hunger brings a stigma, whether you're a college student or not.
Mhm.
So you want it in a fairly high traffic area, but
Also
certain
indiscreet.
instances you don't want it to stick out just
Yeah.
because there's still a stigma there. And unfortunately, until you can really get it going. So to Nicole's point, where they initially had it, I mean, it was literally like in a hole. Now
Mhm.
at Auburn, it's in the main area, but again, it's not. If you don't know it's there, you wouldn't necessarily think that that's a food pantry. It just looks like another building. But
Mhm.
getting the resources out there, getting the awareness really, and really, I think colleges now have come to the understanding that no matter what school you are, Ivy League down to your community college, there's a certain level of food insecurity on your campus. And really admitting that is honestly the first step. And then once you admit it, then you can figure out how to get the resources that you need and get the buy-in from the campus and really from the students because some students may not be food insecure, but they still want to support and help the food pantry that's on campus so that they can help students that are in need.
Absolutely. Um, One thing I want to share with you, a study suggests that 59% of students experience food insecurity at some point in their college careers. Schools provide resources, some do, to assist campuses. And I think back when my oldest daughter was in school and I was sending her care packages, and she would say her friends couldn't wait for her care package and they wanted, so I would like send extra. And it didn't dawn on to me until later that they were having food insecurity. And the couple of her friends I know now, and they were like, we were happy when you sent extra food for us because our parents didn't send us and they couldn't afford it, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't know how to ask. And as you mentioned, there's a stigma. Like, how do we get past that stigma? I remember one of my younger daughters, she was going to school here in Texas, and she had a couple of friends and that they were having challenges with food. I said, they need to go to the food pantry because I'm sure, in Austin and San Marcos, Texas, there's food pantries. I even sent them a list
Mhm.
and they didn't want to go. So how do you get these college students? They need to eat. And how do you get them past the stigma that you got to go to these pantries? It's not you shouldn't be ashamed. And I know people look down on you. How do you get past that?
Yeah, so here's a statistic just overall for college students. So 35 to 40% of college students are experiencing food insecurity, which basically means they don't know where their next meal is coming from. So um, that's a staggering percentage if you think about college and collegiate students. And then when you start looking at HBCUs and HSAs, Hispanic Serving Institutions, and some of the other institutions, it's even higher,
Mm.
that percentage. So um, really awareness is to me talking about it. Again, it's kind of one of those silent um, opportunities that we don't talk about. People being hungry because you think if someone's in college that they should be able to afford a meal or two a day. Uh,
Mm,
You would
Not
think that that wouldn't
necessarily.
be a barrier, but in many cases, it is a barrier because
Mhm.
in many cases, some of the students got there, on a hope and a dream, and that's
Mhm.
all they have when they
Right.
hit campus. So the awareness and being able to talk about, our campus has food insecure people or people that have been partially, food insecure at some point as they matriculated through school. So it's really important. I think one of the first steps is just acknowledging it and then talking about it. Um, Overall, 35% of the food that's produced in the United States goes to waste.
Mm,
So it's not about not having
definitely
food.
not.
It's really about getting the food to the people that need it. So
Absolutely.
that's what it's about. So it's about the logistics of it,
Mhm.
and that we waste we waste so much,
Yes.
unfortunately. And when you look at it, I mean, about 1 in 7, 1 in 8 people just across the United States are food insecure. And then when you start looking at kids, and I know we're talking about college students, but in some instances they're still kids. It's about
Hmm.
1 in 5. So when you look at
Wow.
college students, about, and again, when you start going on colleges, I mean, it's even more. But when you look at kids and just communities, it's about 1 in 5 that are food insecure. So breaking down those barriers, that stigma of that hunger brings, I think is a first step.
Absolutely. And when you mention kids, that's a whole new ball of wax as well, because when children are in school, middle school, high school, elementary, and they're out for spring break or summer, there's some statistics about that as well. But we won't touch on that today. But that is a global issue as well. Dana, I see you have your hand raised. And Jacob, feel free to comment after Dana. You put some interesting things in the chat. Dana, you're on mute if you're speaking. Maybe she raised her hand by accident. Jacob, did you want to go ahead and make your comment?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, sure. Thank you, Stephanie. And
You're
I
welcome.
just, I find this really fascinating, and I always am very active in just bringing resources or ideas or, one thing that, it's there's a lot of work involved to it, but like there's like you can bring in a mental health aspect with growing your own food, but like these individual vertical farms that are happening. I was working on a concept that with a company that's based in Uganda that would be at a university where you would have just these groupings of multiple individual vertical farms that students would be taken care of and benefiting from. And I know that produce is just part of the equation, but I think it's we are realizing, I think across the board, that like we have to not put so much reliance on, you know, value chains, and we need to take some of that power back and begin to, grow our own food and learn how to, become more self-sufficient. And then, yeah, just, thinking about the psychology of scarcity and the impact that has on your ability, to be creative, your imagination. I was a middle school science teacher for 5 years in Crowley, Texas, and just seeing students that breakfast and lunch would be bags of chips, and how can you expect them to focus and sit in a desk for hours at a time listening to somebody talk or working on something that oh, nice, Trevor. We're close. Yeah, and it's not getting better. The problem is getting worse, and it's impacting a lot more people with each day. So, yeah, I just love sharing ideas. I saw that there's some cool stuff happening at Auburn, so put something in there, and yeah, it can be a resource too, to help any way I can.
I like the statement you said, Jacob, in the chat here, the ripple effect. If you are operating from a standpoint of scarcity, you're not able to reach your full potential. And that's so true. Dana, your hands raised. Are you able? You're off of mute. Go ahead. There you
Yes,
go.
I am. I'm actually driving in Atlanta traffic today on the way out of town, so finding that unmute button is not easy when you're driving. But I want to thank you, Stephanie, and for having Felix and Nicole on to raise this issue that I know is also close to your heart because you're doing work in that capacity too. And I also wanted to express my appreciation for the statistics, because when you put those numbers out there, Felix, it really makes a difference. Like, people can really understand. For example, in the state of Georgia, 1 in 7 children go to bed hungry every night in Georgia. Okay, and then when we look at what you all are doing, this work really aligns with the United Nations and their sustainable goals. One of it's to eradicate hunger and poverty and so many other things. And as Jacob mentioned, there's so many multiple layers, including mental health, that impacts that. And Stephanie raised the question about how do you get students to overcome the stigma and show up at these incredible food banks that you've created on Auburn campus and in other areas around the U.S. too, right? And I just had a thought, and then I had a question. So my thought was, because I am a foodie and a personal chef as well, cooking classes always really seem to do the job to get people to come out. Whether there's classes on how to cook light for the summer, and you demonstrate, and then they pick up a bag of groceries. And it doesn't seem to be a stigma associating with coming to a class and then receiving a gift of groceries. That's just one thought. The other is, what ways can we support the Jordan Floyd Foundation? I know personally I support it, and then it's a part of our Global Chamber Atlanta because you all align with our goals. But we really want to do something in 2024 to just push you all over the top to make this more sustainable. How can we do that? What do you have coming up that may be a big event that we can even be a part of?
I think Dana's been looking at my cheat sheet over here. I have all those questions lined up over there. Well, how can we support? Before you answer that question, can we dive a little bit deeper into some other questions, and at the tail end share that piece, if you don't mind? I would like to know the demographics of students who are mainly impacted. Do you have any idea of what that is, either of you?
I think Shirlea in the comment section brought up a good point, is that although, especially at Auburn, that we found out that the meal plans are included in tuition. And so whether you go to the cafeteria or not, you're going to be paying for that. And they have different plans. But when campuses close, those food services close. And so a lot of the international students are impacted, and their families, because a lot of these students, they bring over their families. And so where do they get food? And so this was really, really important for us to really start taking a look at ways and how we can shed light on the availability of the food pantry at Auburn and get behind it university support. And mind you, and this is a good thing and a bad thing, that prior to Felix and I and the Floyd Turner Foundation, coming and asking about this particular initiative, because they have it listed in the things that alumni can fund, but no one was stepping up to the plate to fund it. And so now at every event that we've gone to for the last year and a half at the university, everyone has a food pantry initiative built into their particular programming. So word is spread, word is getting out, but it took, a call from an advancement officer about our scholarship no longer being available, and us taking a look at other things to shed light on that. And then the second thing is that, just working with other colleges, other universities, especially within the technical system of Georgia, because that's who my full-time day job is with, and working in the particular community in which my college is located. It is the most diverse square mile in the United States. It's Clarkston, Georgia, right outside of Decatur, where you have over 176 languages and cultures that are represented. And so our campus, not only the campus in Newton, but the one in Clarkston, we don't have a cafeteria system. We don't have a way for students to get food. And there's one little closet that was dedicated to toiletry items for the students. And so that is my next initiative. And so, just as far as the demographics that are impacted, that's one demographic that comes to mind. Felix?
Yep. And I definitely can tag on just with some specifics. So when you look at gender, usually females are a little bit more food insecure than males. On average, females about 25%, male about 20%. When you look at like LGBTQ plus, 35%. So, and again, think about just stigma overall, not even dealing with food insecurity, but just lifestyle in general. So if you think about that number, it kind of correlates and makes pretty good sense there. When we look at race, Black, Latinos, American Indian are the highest, with African American, Blacks being 35%. Hispanic is about 25%. American Indian about 30%. And then when you look at Caucasian white, less than 20%. So again, when you start diving into those, some of those demographics, that's the way it looks. And then when you start looking at the schools, and Nicole mentioned it, community colleges are, that group is the most food insecure group overall, at about 23%. Public schools are about 21%, private nonprofit 19%, and then the for-profit colleges actually are the most food insecure, 33%. So one of the, from our perspective, from the Turner Floor Foundation, and because Nicole is working at a technical school now, that's going to be some of our focus going into this year and really into 2025, is really focusing on trying to address food insecurity, bring awareness on her campus. Actually, she's already started working with the division here, the Kroger division, to stand up a food pantry. And even looking at food pantries, and I know I'm kind of getting off, but I think it's very, very important. We talked about stigma. So it's important to get a food pantry started. And sometimes the way they start it is just bags of groceries and they're actually handed out. But what we really want to get to, and one of the things that Shalia did on the campus of Jackson State, is basically client choice. It's basically like you're going into a Kroger store and shopping for your needs. So you actually have a choice. You go in, oh man, I need you know, a can of this or a can of that, and this and that. And it doesn't feel like it's a handout. I mean, it actually feels like you're going to get
shopping for
groceries.
yourself. Yeah, like you have
Exactly.
fun. And that would feel so much better. You know, a person would welcome that because they don't feel less than someone else going and shopping for themselves.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a limit, or, you know, with that type of
There
program,
is.
there's a voucher limit. And how does a student become aware of that or get into that type of program? And my other question, are there different models of food pantries as well?
There are. And again, once we got into it, we really saw that we can get in, you know, really get deeper into it. So we, and I say we, Kroger, formed a partnership with Kennesaw State University, which is in Kennesaw, Georgia. And they actually have a program, which I'll mention here just a little bit, where nationwide, they actually can work with universities, no matter what level, to go in and meet that university right where they are. I don't have a university. I mean, I don't have a college pantry at Turner University, or I have a pantry at Turner University, but it doesn't have an inventory system set up. And so they can actually go in, depending on where that university or institution is, and actually train that staff. Again, you have student workers that come in but train that staff in order to be able to sustain that. And that's what's important. Working with a large, company, you can go in and throw money at something, but really our intent is to not only establish it and then come alongside that particular institution, but to ensure that they are sustained and that it continues to grow and get better and better and better. So that's been really exciting. So just recently, my region, we actually identified HBCUs that are in each of the cities where we have divisions or in the areas and formed that partnership. So we went in and said, hey, where are you from a food pantry standpoint? And we met those institutions right where they are. And Kennesaw State's going to come in and help train those staffs so that they can, again, be able to sustain and really grow their campus pantry. So we're very excited about that. Shalia was part of that. I think Shalia's was Jackson State is what I want to say, but she can chime in and let me know. But in Texas, I know it was Texas Southern as well as Wiley College that we're working with there in Texas.
Phyllis, you bring up a good point because sustainability of a food pantry is important, right? And my question is in regards to the Turner Foundation can't do it all. You need partners, you need corporate sponsors, you need community involvement. How do you go about getting that and truly getting people to commit as an organization in the community and for it to be sustainable?
Having a lot of conversations, having a lot of meetings,
Yes.
casting your vision. More likely than not, with Kroger Zero Hunger, Zero Waste, a foundation needs to have their initiatives aligned with one of the corporate's initiatives. When you think about corporations and their money, or even grant opportunities through other foundations, your program has to align with their initiative and it has to fit within those parameters. That's the first thing. The second thing is you need to have a conversation with the key decision makers who has the purse strings. I was just so fortunate, even though we had to run it up the chain and run it through the channels for approval, because you don't, want any, thing to be amiss there. But I was fortunate to have someone in-house, a spouse that so happened to be in a position to where, I could knock on some doors and I can have those conversations. But outside of that, it's just really taking a look at those initiatives, aligning them with the corporate programs and initiatives also, and being able to have those connections and those conversations with individuals and setting meetings and just really being able to come to a consensus to be able to say, this is what we need. I see that you all have this particular initiative and this program. How can we partner together?
I like that. So I have a question. So I'm making sure that I'm politically correct because this is being recorded, correct? And so there are other big players out there that will you all be able to connect with those other big players on behalf of the food insecurity on college campuses so that it's not only on the backs of Kroger's and the other ones may be doing, I'm just not aware, but I'm saying, how can we bring everyone together? We are the world. You remember that old song, we are the future. How do we bring everyone together, being that this is a global issue, such as those other big food stores or food chains as well? Do we need to do some global chamber warm connections?
Well, I would let Felix speak to that.
Yes.
So many of our competitors, as well as some of the large CPGs, actually do try to address food insecurity. They, in many cases, work specifically with food banks that are in the area
Yeah.
depending on where they are. And we've partnered in the divisions that I work in. We've partnered with some of the vendors that our divisions work with to help stand up and provide product for some of the campus pantries that we've helped to stand up or either replenish. So they're actually out there doing it, I think.
Are they doing it at the college level or at the pantries? I know they're doing it at the pantries, but what about at the college level?
So in many cases, what I've seen is that they're working through like organizations like Kroger, or either partnering with a small foundation like ourselves. And I think Nicole hit it, is just being aligned with the vision and their goals overall of how they're impacting and trying to impact the community. I would tell you, just hunger and food insecurity really just cuts across all demographics. It's not necessarily a Black or white thing. Here in Georgia, we live in Gwinnett County. And you look at the heat map for Gwinnett County, it's the entire county. So, and
Wow.
we live in a pretty diverse county, just overall. So hunger is something that again really cuts across all demographics, and it's something that everyone can relate to. And it doesn't become political, even though sometimes people try to make it political, but it's really not political. It's about meeting people where they are and addressing just really a basic human need of just being able
Absolutely.
to eat. And again, just donating food overall. And especially when you get to a point where you can really stand a campus pantry up, you do want to bring more perishable items in.
Yes.
You want to have just a better mix, a better plate, if you could say that, a more balanced plate across the board, because you want people to eat as healthy as possible. I think Jacob mentioned something about just, chips. And don't get me wrong, I love a chip. Now I'll eat I eat a bag of chips by myself, but from a nutritional standpoint, that's probably not the best thing for me, and it's definitely someone that may be food insecure. That's definitely not the best thing that they need.
Absolutely. One thing I would like to say, as we're talking about, food pantries and donating food, please be mindful on not donating expired items or items that you would not want to eat yourself. Many times when I've worked in food pantries and people bring food, that items are expired or something they would have not even eaten themselves. So think of things that you would like to eat. Because and the only reason I know they wouldn't eat themselves, they'll say, "Oh, I don't know how I got this because this is something I wouldn't eat." And I'm like, and I look at it like, I don't want to eat it either. So definitely look at that. A question I have, and I know we have about 14 minutes. It's another question I have. Are there any students who have been advocates on campus? Are there student advocates for maybe the food insecurity of food pantry? Because maybe getting students involved, and maybe I mean I could see how it could be positive, and I can see how it could be negative, because then a student could potentially say, oh, this person came and they don't have any food, and the bullying and things like that. But do you think student advocates would be beneficial for the food
So on many
pantry?
campuses, that's one of the things that we see.
Okay.
We work here in Atlanta. We work with Mimi's Pantry, which is born out of the Joseph Lowry Institute, which is on the campus of Clark Atlanta, Morehouse, Spelman.
Mm-hmm.
And Mimi's Pantry was birthed from a student.
Wow.
She saw a need, and she jumped on it, and it was birthed. Again, that's one of the group of institutions that we work with. We actually went in and renovated it. They had a system where they were just giving bags out, and we went in and kind of established a client choice, where people could come in. We put in actual grocery shelves for them, and so they're able to go in and do that. So So to answer your question, Stephanie, yes. I think that there are a lot of students, even at Auburn, they've set it up where I think the students that actually work the campus pantry are actually, it's like a work study for them. And not only do they, you know, they have an opportunity to help those in need, but they actually learn inventory system, rotation.
nice.
You just mentioned, you know, so when product comes in, they're making sure they're looking at the dates, open dates, to make sure that they're not putting expired food on the shelves for, you know, the clients that are coming in.
Absolutely. We have a raised hand, fruitfulworld.org. Not sure who that is, but please say who you are.
Hi, Stephanie, it's Valerie. Sorry.
Oh, hey, Valerie.
Hi, I have different like Zooms. So the unfortunate part of Zoom, for whatever reason, I was on a call yesterday with the city of Rancho Cucamonga. And before I get into Fruitful, the whole video is upside down. It's bizarre. I can't change it. And you know what? I'm just not going to do that. I'm just going to figure all that out in our tech team. But it's not a pretty picture when all the faces are upside down. Everyone else is facing forward. But yeah, I've been listening to all the great content. Love to get connected with the speakers, Nicole and Felix as well. So I have a deep passion, as well as my partner, Alejandro, who's not on this call at the moment, but and I had this conversation with Stephanie as well. So a little bit about what Fruitful does. So Fruitful, how we first started was, so I lived in Austin for about 6 years. And I go back and forth to California. That's where I grew up. And my parents live in California. And I've just noticed this influx of just so many fruits, like going back and forth. And even at my parents' house, they just have tons of fruit all over the place, all over the floor. And I'm just like, I love fruit. Like I would eat all this if I could, but it's really impossible for a family of 4 to eat that much fruit. So what my partner Alejandro and I did was that we picked the fruit from my parents' house just to start. And we're like, okay, what can we do with it? Why don't we just go, to downtown Los Angeles, for example? That's where we were at the time, and just like give the fruit out to like anyone, like any homeless or that sort of thing. So we started handing out the fruit, and we just saw just the reactions were just kind of like, wow, like this is amazing. Like I'm receiving like fruit. Like, what is this fruit? They had all these questions, and just the brightness of their eyes, and just like, wow, this is really truly like a gift. And we looked at each other, my partner and I, and were just like, this would have just been wasted. So what we did from there was we actually canvassed the neighborhood, and we door knocked and offered just free fruit picking services to anyone that had any fruit trees, and everyone jumped up for it. They loved it. We've heard a lot of stories from different neighbors saying that they were a bit elderly, and they've actually injured themselves picking their fruit tree. And they were happy that, like we were walking around to offer these free services, and also in part to donate those fruits for them. And also in return, they would receive a tax write-off. So kind of fast forward to this year, a lot of focus were the orchards, but right now there's a lot of issues with oriental fruit fly and citrus breeding disease, where now we're not able to really work with backyard harvest, but we've pivoted to more towards partnering with farmers markets. So if there are any farmers markets that have vendors that have excess produce, rather than waste the produce, we pick the produce for those vendors and we donate it directly to hunger relief programs. And speaking of, we're actually going to go to a farmers market today. We booked our first hunger relief program, which is the Food for Life Ministry, to 3 vendors that are already open to donating produce. So we're really excited about it for this location. It's our first one here. But a little bit about kind of the university side of things. So we've actually registered ourselves 501c3. This was actually asked by the city because they wanted a more professional look from our side. So we registered 501c3, went through all the hoops and hurdles, and then I actually enrolled our program into the public student loan forgiveness. So now any student that's employed under our program, given that it's 10 years or so, they can get their student loans forgiven. So we've been working closely with universities, and definitely know that they have food banks with students that are definitely experiencing food insecurity, and asking not only students to volunteer at these events that we but also to donate back to the university. And all that we donate are fresh produce. So I'm hoping that anyone that accepts our donations are, I guess, jumping up for joy, knowing that they're receiving fresh produce as opposed to perishable items, and any cakes, cupcakes, that sort of thing. But yeah, the program's definitely been favored, and we definitely want to expand. And yeah, I'm glad Stephanie put this together and able to connect this, and hopefully we can connect offline a little bit about what we can do, hopefully in your areas, to upcycle any waste. Upcycle any food so that we have no more food waste. I know that's a new thing in California, where a lot of the businesses are now required to record, like restaurants, even grocery stores, like how much food that they are wasting or not wasting. It's like a new rule out in California. And again, if this is a program that helps kind of fight the food waste, we're all here for it. And yeah, it's nice to
Well,
meet you.
wonderful. Hey, Valerie, put your information in the chat so they'll get the information. Felix and Nicole, I want to go ahead and give you guys an opportunity to say anything else you would like to say. At the end, I would love to talk about how can we help the Turner Foundation, and then also how can we help in other areas. What can we do as far as bringing the awareness that are here?
Well, the first thing I want to say is Fruit for World. Yay! That is amazing. That is so great.
Yes.
And it brings something to mind, that since the word is spread at Auburn about the food pantry, the School of Agriculture, they experiment in growing sustainable food for the future, and so they're growing lettuce in trailers and like different things, and they have a culinary program there that's ran through the Auburn University Hotel and Conference Center, to where they provide food there. But a lot of the non-perishable items, like the fruits and the vegetables, actually come from the School of Agriculture at Auburn, and so they've even jumped on board, and to where they donate lettuce and they donate different fruits and vegetables. So that's really good about how to involve the whole university into the idea of the campus food pantry. But also, if you're interested in campus food pantries and working with colleges and universities, you work with the student affairs division of the college and the university, and also the advancement office. Even technical colleges, they have student affairs and the advancement office, and so they're able to write grants in order to get monies in to provide the continuous funding for the food pantry once companies like Kroger come in and stand up the food pantry. And so those are some ways that individuals can get involved, to serve on the advisory boards of these colleges and universities, and to also just to find out different ways in which you can get involved. Felix?
Not much to add. Again, just appreciate the opportunity just to come on and talk about food insecurity, and specifically food insecurity on college campuses.
Yes.
We're excited about the opportunity just to be able to impact the little space that we occupy, and that's what we're trying to do and trying to be about. So, Nicole, maybe you can just mention. Just visit our website.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, if you can put your link in there on how we can,
Yes,
help donate
I
to
will
Turner
put the
Foundation,
link in
please.
there, but it's the Floyd Turner Foundation .com, and so you can go there and check us out. Also, we look at ways to partner with other organizations. One of the other things that we do is to provide bags, because not only do you have to shop, right, you have to have bags to put it in, and so we also provide bags for those food pantries in order for students to be able to shop effectively.
Absolutely. And the purpose of the Global Chamber Dallas Fort Worth chapter, we're talking about food insecurity every other month. Last month we talked about it was a global issue and talked about it from different perspectives of the globe. And this particular time we wanted to talk about it, food insecurity on campus. There's so many spider legs or webs that you can go in regards to food insecurity. And the purpose is to bring the awareness. And just bringing the awareness is not enough. We have to, people used to say you got to be about it. You have to do something about it. Not just right now when you hang up, okay, I'm going to donate $10. It has to be something on your mind that you continuously doing something about it. And also be aware of your surroundings and what people are doing. I did not realize, as I mentioned, when I used to send my daughter care packages, and she's like, my friends really like, can you send more? And there was food insecurity then. They didn't have enough. And someone mentioned about the students' packages. Food packages, my daughter, who's the youngest, I got her the least expensive food packages because I mean, tuition alone was expensive. And I'm like, you need to be, you need to not spend so much. And here we're going to do it was a purple package and a gold and a silver. I got her the purple package, and you only can get so many meals within a day. And I made sure, hey, make sure you go to the grocery store and you have things in your room so you can cook, because these packages are expensive. And so then if you're, as a parent, paying for the college tuition, and they may not get a scholarship, or they may get a partial scholarship. And so there's still funds that need to be spent. And so I appreciate and thank you so much, Felix, and also Nicole, bringing this to everyone's awareness, their attention, letting us know how we can give back to the Turner Foundation. And definitely put that link. If you put you got it, put in the FloydTurnerFoundation.com, how we can support. But also it's going to grow and it's going to change. And I was thinking of AI. Oh, they may need a DoorDash, deliver their food to their room, Jacob's real good with artificial
I just
intelligence.
mentioned that to Felix about a month ago, Stephanie.
Yeah.
I really literally just mentioned that to about a month ago.
Right. And we just deliver it to their door. We know they told us. And so no one knows what's going on. It's a pretty bag. It's a care package. It could be called care package, and someone may say, how can I get involved with that? Oh, no, it all depends. So thank you all so much. Thank you to my audience. Please make sure everyone put their information in the chat there so that people can be able to reach out to you. You can go to those 3 dots at the bottom of the screen and save the chat. It'll save it to your desktop, and you'll be able to go back and look at all the comments and how to contact people. Are there any other questions that anyone else have before we sign off? Please feel free to unmute. I know we're at the top of the hour, but we would love to hear from everyone if you have any question regarding food insecurity on college campuses. Going once, going twice. Well, thank you all so much. Again, we're so glad to have you. Just want to bring up some events that are coming up tomorrow. We have the Global Chamber AI series. That's June 7th, or Thursday, at 10 Central Time, 11 Eastern Time AM. So that's tomorrow. And then we have the Global Chamber Virtual Dining. This is the Mexican Experience. That's tomorrow, the 28th, and that's 6 p.m. Central Time and 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So we would love to have you. And I believe Jacob, he is the co-moderator for the AI series tomorrow. So would love to have you all. Please join us tomorrow. Don't miss out. There's always great information, content, and also being able to connect with others. Thank you all for your time, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you
Good night,
again.
everyone.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all. Thank you.